Welcome to the Home of the Chiefs podcast, where the Chiefs are our home. I am your host, Clinton Petrie, as always, here with my co-host, Shannon Brush.
Hello, hello.
This is going to be a new one for us for this episode, and I'm not sure however many more that may come from it. We won't waste a whole bunch of time going into it, but today we're going to be discussing the series on Netflix starring your own Patrick Mahomes, which, as of recording this, was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So the two of us braved through all 8 episodes all at once. And we took notes about the Mahomes segments and the ones that stood out the most, at least to me. If something comes up that I didn't mention, you're going to bring it up as well.
Yep.
But obviously, spoilers ahead. If you don't want any of the quarterback series to be spoiled for you, do not watch this.
Go watch it for yourself and then
come back. Yep. Go bum a Netflix if you don't have it from somebody. Spend the 7-ish hours. Get through the start. If you want, you can fast forward through the Mariota and the Cousins sections. I personally enjoyed them. They added something to it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like the curveball, the Mariota scenario goes to show, like, being in the Chiefs zone. I didn't even register that had occurred. So, interesting dynamic there. And then following Kirk Cousins just made me like him as a person.
Oh my goodness, he is so cool.
he's such a humbled guy.
Yeah.
So that's good to see. And then obviously Patrick Mahomes, we've seen him kind of act the same way in other avenues of his life at home and stuff like that. And we see him act the same way as he does on the field on a Sunday.
Yep.
So first off, we're going to start with the first episode, the only way to start. And as the episode began, it was off the piggyback of the Super Bowl 54 victory and showing Mahomes' meteoric rise, if you want to call it that, and his endorsements and his contract, his just getting more comfortable and claiming Kansas City as his own, feeling at home here, and just seeing his celebrity grow after that.
Just seeing him in that Head and Shoulders commercial was funny. So I remember that one.
And then we pivot to seeing a little bit of his home life before the next season. They talked about, one thing I have next is that there was a moment where Brittany's trying to get pictures. And he's like, nah, I'm done. I'm done. So
he hates pictures.
It's like all of us dudes being forced to take pictures. I'll stand there for a few minutes, but if you're telling me I got to run back and do more, I'm telling you no.
She's pregnant and she's like, I want to get all of the angles. And he's like, nope, I'm done. I'm done. It's my birthday. I'm done.
Come on, Brittany. And then they talked about how Brittany and Mahomes started dating. She claims he had a crush on her. She was friend zoning him. And he bought her a flower as a
fake
joke.
Rose as a joke.
And she just thought it was cute. And they got together for real. And it's funny that during that story that she's trying to tell, Mahomes is outside.
He's yelling at the dogs.
The dogs were messing with the other neighbor's dogs. So Mahomes is also like us, where he gets frustrated by his animals being.
He yells at his dogs.
Getting their nose where they shouldn't be.
Yep.
Then I kind of just had him talking about the blow-offs in the prior 2 seasons before the season that gets featured. Like after the Tyreek Hill trade, he had said that, at least from the interviews where he was talking about it, he didn't seem bothered. That
he didn't seem to exactly. He didn't really seem like he seemed like he was just like, what's next? What's on to the next thing? Like they happened, so
yeah,
we can't really dwell on it.
Yeah, he was talking about like, oh, will we mess up through the lens of like the articles and then the clips that come out from personalities talking about it. He was not in that mindset at all. So we kind of probably assumed that, but at least to hear directly from him, like, yeah, I'm good. I can handle it without it.
Yep.
So, then they started showing at the end of that episode some of the first 2 games. Showed the Arizona game, and then the big things that was coming out from this series, and this is the part 1 of it, was his little beef with Max Crosby.
Yeah, that was so interesting to see, like their conversation on the field, their back and forth. It just kind of encapsulates that rivalry with the Raiders that we do have still. Like, even though they're not directly competition with us anymore, we still are head to head, and we're still like in each other's faces every single time we play each other.
Yeah, it comes out in the second matchup, which, depending on how this episode goes, we may talk about and see episode 6 of the show. But in this one, we got to hear those sound bites, which the I'm Here All Day that we had seen trailers for before the series comes out was in that game. So nice to see that one come up. And then you woke up the wrong mother bleeper.
Yeah.
So Mahomes has as much of a potty mouth as the rest of us do.
He's not afraid to show it either.
No, but he was boiling frustration. Like Max Crosby was hitting him too much, hitting him late, and just
he's like, you don't got to do that. You don't got to hit me. You don't got to be like that.
doing nonstop, just extra prying and being annoying and stuff like that. So, he took it as well as he could, but then he flipped.
And then Andy Reid had to tell him in that game, hey, maybe calm down just a little bit or something like that. He's just like, maybe take it down just a notch or 2.
Just a little bit. Just calm down, Patrick. It's okay. We're going to win the game. It's the Raiders. Don't worry about it.
He's like, he reacted to that, and he's like, Mahomes is like, Andy Reid, he's always like, lets us express ourselves and stuff, but he at that point was just like, okay, this is a little too much.
Yeah. If Andy Reid speaks up and tells you to calm down, that means you really hit a nerve there. You went
crossed a little bit too far.
You went too far. But yeah, that was episode 1. And the second episode involved more of just some off the field stuff. It showed his return to Texas Tech, getting his name and number up in the stands.
That was cool to see.
And the closeness that he had with his family and that community from that is really cool. One thing that he mentioned that I thought was interesting to note is that he would have been a lawyer if nothing in sports worked out.
Yeah.
Or like that was one of his first interests before like athletics was more like serious.
He's like, I wanted to be a baseball player, but then before that, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah, which kind of checks out when you watch and listen to how he is. That he's like, he believes what he says. He's passionate. He's not going to say like the wrong thing to the wrong people, So just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I just wrote the quote, "I'm nasty."
Oh my gosh.
That was just the funniest. So had to say that.
Says some random stuff that's just really funny.
I strive to be the kind of hype man for myself that Patrick is for himself. So
I strive to be the level of tough that he is.
True.
Playing on that high ankle sprain and just acting like it doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like I strive for that.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Then they show a lot more of this in the following episode, but this is when the camera at least introduces his trainer, Bobby Stroop, who apparently he's known and has been friends since schooling.
Yeah, he said he's known him and he was his trainer.
And I mean, for those who weren't or aren't interested in like the other two segments, Marcus Mariota, his personal chef, was one of his close friends. So a lot like athletes really like their friends and their close circle that they've already had in their lives, and keeps them close to do things like that.
People that have supported them, along the way.
So we got to see some training from him, and Bobby talked about how unique Mahomes is and all the different things he does, and the like different kind of workouts that he does on purpose, and lots of tissue stretching and ready for, tension to things and not having something break or shift when it shouldn't. So kind of overtraining in these sessions and over athletic, and like that he works out like 3 different kinds of days, and A, B, and C day, and C is just full throttle, and just keeping it interesting and keeping him in shape, but mostly keeping him in like guessing. It's making his body constantly need to adapt. It's only just going to make him stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
But then they were showing Brittany with Sterling up there in the suite, and their interaction. Y'all can say whatever you want about Brittany, but
she is so supportive.
She will scream as loud after a touchdown as the rest of us. So, and Brittany, if you end up watching this, come down to our section. It didn't look like anybody in your suite wanted to
celebrate
and high five with you. So you need to get hype. You got to come down where the people are.
Yeah, I got to come down where the fans.
They will get hype with you. But, they lost the Buffalo game, and that sucks. And she looked like she was hurting for him as much. So she cares. She shows it. And,
Yeah, she is always there. She's always there on the sideline saying, I love you, and have a good game before he goes on. And
then it became, like the rest of that episode became family, and showed them going to the pumpkin patch.
It is so cute. They're such a cute family.
Mahomes is as good of a dad as he is an athlete. Everything he does, he tries his butt off.
Yep.
So that was the second episode. Very cute ending of his segment. The third episode, I didn't have a whole lot to note, and I've already mentioned the several workouts and just him training, which I think is an interesting as itself. Like, go watch that episode if you just want to take notes about what goes on,
how he trains,
not to go into all the details, but know that he goes through a lot of different exercises and training days and barely any days off from it. The only other part of this episode that I noted was just that it introduces the idea of like how complimentary Mahomes is of who he plays against.
Teams.
So like he gets tackled and he's like, great job, good job. Getting like pushed out of bounds, and they like ease up, and he's like, appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah.
Like that had like kind of come out during the match and stuff like that, he is very complimentary of his opponents.
He's a good sport.
And then Von Miller said if he starts complimenting you, it's over. So he's, for the most part, we'll get to him a little later, but he was complimentary of Max Crosby until
he did something to make him mad.
Until he had to spout off and say something about it. Then think this will be the last episode we talk about for this segment, which we're rolling through these, so we might actually get through it all.
Yeah, I think we can.
Session. But episode 4, I thought was really, really, really interesting from like Chiefs fan perspective, because the main Chiefs parts at the beginning of that was saying how basically every Wednesday during the season is this opportunity for the players to get on the field and basically make stuff up. So it's this creative Wednesday where all the offense gets on the field and tries to come up with all these plays. So you mentioned that like Roadrunner, what was this one? And that was the shovel pass to Clyde in the first season of the game. The first game of the season. Dyslexic as heck. He said that the Ferrari play where it was the like pitch it back and then try to throw it to him on the other side of the field was a play that they came up with. Catching Kelsey, made fun of him for it. And then they kept using the play piano in the game where they'd have like just a guy end up rolling out at the very end and he'd be wide open. So that was a play that they ended up coming up with, but one that's like in the playbook consistently is like, oh yeah, that'll win in this situation.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to see the players, like especially Patrick, but like the rest of the offense get vested into it.
Yeah.
They feel like it's their offense because they came up with something. It's, if you do something on a team, but you have
the say,
right, you've contributed in some fashion, then you feel bigger, like you feel as much a part of the team as anybody else.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. I think that was really cool to see, like our team just collaborating together and coming together to make something that everyone can be a part of.
Yep. And one play we're gonna talk about in the next segment in Las Vegas, the snow globe was also a play that was created in one of these sessions. So it's really cool. I like the create, because you think it's like, oh, it's Andy Reid just sitting in a restaurant just scribbling on napkins the whole time, just come up with a million plays. And to some extent it is, but it's also Patrick saying, I want to do a play that involves this, and we have these kind of guys, so why don't we do something like this? And he said that Andy's got to love it to death, and it's got to look perfect when they do it. And Andy's like, yeah, I love what they do, but I still get 51% of the vote. So he still gets majority, as he should.
Yep.
A couple more things to note before we wrap up for this first segment. They showed the vested interest that Brittany has in the KC Current team, and Mahomes and Starlin in their lap watching from the suites, feeding her chicken fingies.
Yeah, that was cute. That was really cool.
All Starlin wants to do is sit in Dad's lap and eat chicken fingers.
Yep.
Sounds like heaven. But like you could tell that Brittany is like, soccer is her like past love, and that she still likes it, and you could see that like Mahomes carries that on as much, like as one of his interests as well.
So it's amazing to see that support from him.
So supporting her in the business, but also like just being supportive in the things that she also supports. So being geeky about the same stuff.
Yep.
So that was cute. And then they showed him at home, and then he was breaking down, filming stuff, and he chose the Chargers, and he said that they are a really good team almost always, and that they're ones that he basically watches every single Chargers game and breaks down their film and stuff. So like you mentioned, Buffalo and Cincinnati and all those are like the people to watch out for.
Yeah.
But the Chargers are the consistent one that he will use in studying.
Yeah, I found that interesting.
So he's got a lot of respect for Justin Herbert and for the weapons, offense and defense, that the Chargers have. So, we all think, oh man, he's so easy, but he shows like tremendous amounts of respect for his opponents in any way.
Yeah. He knows who's good and he knows who can beat him.
True.
He will express that.
True. So, and then I've got, another profanity-laced quote of his. This is my ish. This is what I freaking do. So,
if you don't like cursing, don't watch this series.
It's a TVMA rating.
Don't watch it with your kids. I mean,
But I mean, if you're watching this with your 8-year-old son, you're probably, that's how it's going to be.
That's very
though.
True.
That's, don't speak like that. But that is
true.
It is definitely a more intense environment in athletics than it is in a school or in an office or whatever the case.
Yep. If you go into the military, it's exactly like that.
So love Mahomes fire, and we're going to see more of that coming up. So we left off. I only have really a few notes about episode 5, but not a whole lot to discuss. It was the Rams game focused, and he didn't play that well the way it made it look. And there's like a period of time where Brittany wasn't responding to stuff, so they just assume she's in labor, and that's why he's playing bad.
Yeah.
So just a storyline that was the game, like right before.
He was probably thinking about her too. Like his mind was not focused that game because he was thinking about her, and she was literally about to give birth at any moment.
Yeah,
so.
Like Brittany is a warrior. Like they were laughing that she had planned the specific day she's going to give labor, and then set a time, and then said, no, 30 minutes. I need some extra time. And then was like back to her feet the next day. Like, I know she's an athlete, but like she's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, I wish I had that energy.
It's very impressive.
It is.
So we had Patrick Mahomes III, Mr. Braun's born. So what a gift that season ended up being for Mahomes. He got everything he needed for his family.
Yeah.
All within this last year.
Yeah, that was so cute. Like to see his little face. He's so cute. He's so small.
He's always so shocked at what's going on. Then the next episode, they showed the Mahomes clips from being on New Heights. So shout out to Travis getting double love. Hyping up people. I think Jalen Hurts was somebody that hyped up. So
yeah.
Interesting that would be matchup later. I have that when they were at that Denver game, he had those amazing throws, but he was just angry at the 3 interceptions he had in that one game. So, he loves to show off, but the things that end up sticking in his mind the most are his mistakes.
Yeah.
So he was just mad at himself. Stupid Patrick. Stop talking to himself.
And then he was always like, my bad. That was my fault. Like he would always take the blame when it was his own fault.
Yep. And even if it wasn't his fault, he's the leader and takes the responsibility of that. And then the callback to mention in the first segment with these two here, we had the Las Vegas rematch, where they unveiled the snow globe play.
Yep.
That ultimately didn't even count. Stupid refs. But
so cool though.
Like that was one of the plays that Mahomes spent a Wednesday planning. He was like, "Man, we practiced all off season for that play, and now it ain't even gonna count." So, Mahomes, they love dishing out those tricks, but they're pissed if they don't work because they worked so hard.
Yeah, you worked that hard and practice all that time. Wow.
And then in that same game I just have it written as the Max Crosby beef part 2.
Yep, part 2.
So
Here we go again.
More nudging, more pushing, and there's a play where he did like hit him late, and they were watching the replay together, and Max was trying to say, "I was going for the ball, I swear." And by the end of that conversation, Mahomes is telling him good job, and like he was already doing. But before that, you saw him visibly change. Like he's usually like, whatever, y'all hit me, it happens. And then that he like legitimately freaked out, like somebody who was not expecting to get hit.
Yeah.
So he got up and snapped and was telling him what the F.
Yeah.
Trying to tell him off. And at first Max is being aggressive towards him, but then like they cut away and come back and they're right next to each other talking. So it definitely frames it like he is the worst, like their worst enemies, and then they're really not. Like Mahomes seems very cordial with everybody.
Yeah.
He
and then the series probably made it like more dramatic too.
Yeah, they all know the nature of the game, so they're not like, at least I don't feel any personal vendettas. They have competitive ones, which we'll hear about within this next episode, but he doesn't come across like he's like jealous or prideful or envious of other players or
better than or
jealous or anything of that nature. Just he doesn't feel like he has a mean bone in his body, just like self-defense type of aggression.
Yeah.
So then the next episode, they were showing off the skeleton of their new house, the empty fish tank and the football field and the
basketball court,
basketball goal inside, and just a man cave's heaven.
Yeah, wow.
We know that some photos got leaked out recently of it, but they showed a little bit of it at the very end of the show of their put together house, and trophies up in the shelves was hoping for those to go, and I got many more. I made the joke that, man, they only had 6 slots. They adds a couple more. Me being a greedy Chiefs fan, what can I say?
Yep.
It also talked that like Patrick is very meticulous and has a very specific repetitive pregame ritual. Like he's very superstitious, or maybe just a little stitious, as they say, doing the same things over and over again, like kneeling in the away team's end zone, the playing DB as a quarterback and warm-ups, and the coming out and jumping and flexing on him pose that we've seen a billion times.
You know what I just thought of? That commercial that's like, Patrick's superstitious. He doesn't wash his shirt for game day.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. The State Farm version of that commercial. Yeah. They knew it. They knew about him, just not the parts he was superstitious about.
Yeah. That's funny.
Well, all that leads into the playoffs, which you brought up earlier. The high ankle sprain happened in that game. You could see him like more pissed that he's injured and mad that they're trying to take him out and not let him.
He did not want to get that X-ray.
So he was yelling some expletives and saying, I'm not leaving. So he goes back on the field and is limping, and it cuts back to Brittany saying, I can't believe, why are you doing this?
Why are you still on the field? Get off the field.
You stupid husband of mine. Go get up, and before I, find out you're deadly hurt and something even worse happens.
Yeah.
So he's fighting. I'm not going to get an X-ray. I'm not going to get an X-ray. And then Andy basically just, hey, bro, I'm the coach. Get out.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to get his x-ray, running into the tunnel to do
Yeah.
it. So really just showing off his like pain management
Yeah.
and basically like acted like all that was like just pain mentality, not thinking you're in pain and getting through it. And
Yep.
the rest of the games in the playoffs would be that same way of, I feel good, I'm working it out, and then something happened, and then, you know, it strikes a little bit of pain in me, but I'm not thinking about it, so I'm not letting it get deeper.
Yeah.
So Chad Henne comes in, he gets his touchdown, so Mahomes is happy. Second half starts, and Mahomes, you know, is just good enough to stay on the field and finish the game. He's limping a few times, do some things that he wouldn't normally do if he was 100% healthy to accommodate for his actions. And then he like, the game's over and his family's just talking to him about how bad is the injury, and Mahomes
they're like, don't lie,
shrugging it off. Yeah, his mom is desperate to get him to tell the truth, and I think, you know, Patrick is like that. He's just, no, don't hurt. It's no big deal. It's the way I'm built. So unless you literally broke my kneecap out of my, where I could tell it was so messed up, I'm gonna still be out there if I have the chance. And then, you know, they're talking about the potential matchups, and they ask him, you know, between Buffalo and the Bengals, who would you prefer to play? And he's like, the easier matchup is probably Buffalo, but the Bengals are better, and quote, I want to play the Bengals. So you get your wish, Mr. Mahomes.
Yeah, that was a cool moment.
I was on that same sentiment as well. I just had more of a fear that, you know, this is like a team they suddenly can't beat again.
Yeah, it's their kryptonite team.
So I'm glad that that matchup happened in order to, you know, exhume those demons out.
Yep.
And the 8th and final episode throughout the whole series, till about episode 7 is when everybody else tapers off. So if you just want all Mahomes, watch the final episode, which is just him pretty much start to finish with like little bits of Cousins and Mariota towards the end. But Mahomes is the star of the final episode. And it first is going over Julie Freymeyer's miracle of healing Mahomes back to some form of competitor.
Yeah.
Showed them in the training room and her cupping his leg area.
Yeah, those athletic trainers know what they're doing, and they can really fix you up.
So she, you know, it was like her personal mission there to spend that whole time getting him ready. You know, Brittany was joking, oh, well, I guess Patrick doesn't have to do anything around the house. Can't wait to hear that. Oh, I'm too hurt. I can't do anything.
Yeah, can't do chores.
It's so funny. It's like, oh, he's still going to get out of doing household chores. The nerve of that husband of mine.
That's funny.
So yeah, but away from that, the recovery and the personal training stuff and getting your body right. One thing that just stuck out to me is he was talking about Joe Burrow a lot, and he just spoke like he had nothing but respect for Joe Burrow. Like, just that he's a bad mother, and I'm not going to say anything bad about him because maybe, frankly, I don't think anything bad about him. Like we could be replaced on both these teams, and we'd both equally be as scared of other teams' team. So
true.
Each guy makes the team, and you know, the Bengals are Joe Burrow, and that's why Mahomes has respect for the Bengals, because he respects Joe Burrow so much as that competitor, one-on-one, quarterback versus quarterback. You know, that's not how the game works, but that's all headlines will say. So
I feel like he likes that competition. He doesn't want to be where he can't have anyone else compete like that good, where anyone else competes against him and he just beats them. He wants the competition. He wants you to try and beat him.
Mm-hmm. So then the Bengals game happens. They end up winning, and I just kept a couple of quotes. Like Mahomes takes his hit out of bounds to seal the game. Kelsey's calling him a warrior for that, and saying how tough he is and how good of a teammate he is. And then when they finally win the game and they're celebrating with their trophies and stuff, Andy calls him a stud.
Yeah.
It's like little comments like that we don't get to see are just really awesome. Like, I can't remember if it was during the championship game or the Super Bowl when it had Andy and his Sterling interacting.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, look at the prettiest girl here."
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. He was like just interacting with her so good, and you were like, he's like the best grandpa ever.
That's right. He's just a grandpa whose kids are keeping him young. His real children, but Mahomes and him have such an age difference that I'm sure it's like a fatherly type relationship, even more so than just like a coach to a player. But just because I've been around the block way longer, and you look at me as like the peak, and like I am respect and like authenticity through and through, and like just being a loving presence overall.
Yeah,
it was.
Those guys need that too. Like our men need that as much as anybody else
does. Like we see that Andy Reid is like a personable and he tries to be jokey and stuff like that for press conferences, but like we don't see him being like a good like boss or a good human being besides just holding his clipboard on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So, we're never going to have to do Hard Knocks or anything of that nature, but I would love to be behind the scenes with Andy Reid.
That'd be cool.
Just to see like how he works, because he seems like such a like impressionable guy. He's gonna like nudge you, he's gonna push you, but he just seems like so much of a loving presence.
Yeah.
And just like the perfect and ultimate teacher.
Yeah.
That if you show as much passion about this subject matter that he loves, he'll give you as much of your time as he can. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that was really neat.
So then before the Super Bowl, the MVP award ceremony happened. He had, Mahomes had Airbnb'd a house to get ready for the game there in Arizona, and they just showed him on the couch studying for the game ahead of time with his pre-recorded speech when we won. Had his daughter and Brittany sitting on the couch with him.
Yep. He was like, I could have gone to this event, but I want to stay and study for the Super Bowl and stay with family. And so I thought that was cool.
Yep. His priorities are dead on. So it worked out, as we all know.
Yep. Studying paid off.
So Super Bowl, we began. Say what you will about the field. Not mentioned in the documentary one time. Nobody there was no quotes about the grass.
How bad the field was. Nothing.
So they didn't even mention it. But then he was re-injured before that second half. Ended up being down by 10 points after halftime, but he was hurting again after another rolling tackle.
Yeah. And to me, I don't know, but to me it looked like that second time he was hurting way more than the first time.
Like, I think the initial like pain within against Jacksonville the 2 weeks before when he was when he like initially got hurt and was limping and not even putting weight on it and getting extra stuff. I think he was probably 80% to there by each time that he had one of those bad tackles or landed on his ankle when he didn't want to type scenario. So I don't think it was like as severe, but when you already injured it once and you're injuring like around the same area again, he definitely
more painful.
It was more sensitive that time around.
Yeah, because he was like he could barely talk that like first 30 seconds or whatever when he sat on the bench. He's like, it just hurts, man. And he was like breathing through it, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, how in the heck did you get back out there?
So thankfully, the game is the Super Bowl, which has the extra long halftime.
Yeah.
Which gave him 30 full minutes to literally take everything off, roll it out, stretch it out, put everything back on it, work on it, run on it, walk on it, and him be ready to go second half again.
Yeah.
Mr. Superman gets hurt, and then next time he has to come out, he's literally perfect.
Yeah. He doesn't even show pain.
And he mentioned in the locker room that he was just telling his guys to make sure we're playing for fun. Like, don't play like we're in the Super Bowl. Play like this is just any other game.
Yeah.
We're playing.
No pressure.
Like we want to be.
Take the pressure off of them.
So play for fun was the main message he had, and that goes to show because the second half on Mahomes' part was absolutely brilliant. His only incompletion was one of those fun creative plays.
Yep.
They called it Pokemon, trying to circle around an offensive lineman. So the only incompletion in the second half for Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl was a designed only throw it to the lineman throw.
Yeah, wow.
And that was it. That was the only incompletion. He was perfect everywhere else, and he had way more energy and strength and speed and whatever you take to get around those tacklers the second half.
He did.
What was getting tackled from behind just at the end of the first half, and in the other games prior to that, where you look like you maybe want to run away out of the pocket, but then just try to stand up and yeet it the best you can. But you could tell there was something different about him this time because he was able to run and get through the evading tacklers and get that big 20-plus yard run in the last minutes to go down and be in position to win the game and ice the clock away.
Yeah.
So he is the ultimate competitor. He's the ultimate pain management person, period.
My goodness.
That he can go through these and then still be as good. That last run that he went for where he's tackled, he just stands up. It looks like he's about to wince or limp or something.
Yeah,
he
like
just keeps walking tall. He just walks through it. So yeah, that was a great. We know the victory, so we get to see some of the personal celebrations. Wanting his daughter to be on the field.
Yeah, he was like, make way for my family, like move over, watch out, like right at the end, and he went right over to his family, and I thought that was really cool.
Carried Sterling around. With Andy at the end, they're all celebrating, telling them they love each other.
His dad
comes up.
That was, oh my gosh, tearjerker.
Tells him, I've never seen anything like you. Like, you're my own son, but you're a unicorn.
Yeah, he's like, that was pretty special because he looked up to him and that was his hero. And he was like, hearing my hero say that about me. He's like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Super emotional. And then the end of the series was just him finishing that season and so they went to Disneyland after that.
Showing their Disneyland parade.
He was on Jimmy Kimmel right after that. They had the Super Bowl parade. They had a bunch of other things.
He got like 30 minutes of sleep, he said.
He was like, I got a nap in between the amusement park and here. Over. That's as much sleep as I've gotten. So the man is strong-willed. And then they showed that his house was finished.
Showed the big fish tank they have.
Showed his collection.
With the fish, with the Nemos.
Just that all he cares about is his sport and his family and his children.
Yep.
So he puts like as much competition and intensity and preparation into stuff for his kids as he does to Super Bowl. So this whole series just showed that he is the same man that you get to watch on Sunday from the stadium or from your home as he is if you were to run into him and a pumpkin patch or a gas station or some other cool place around here. And just seems like a very cool and impressionable dude.
Yeah, just a normal guy, and he doesn't want all of the glitz and glamour. And
Yep, it was really great. I don't know, Peyton, if you want to, follow Mahomes around every year.
Yeah, I was about to say if y'all want to do a second season and just keep doing this, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know how Mahomes won't just negotiate his own promotion with Netflix.
Yeah, series eventually. Yeah, I'm sure eventually.
Yeah, he's a promoter through and through.
Yeah.
So, but such a really good season.
Mm-hmm. I always it's like a movie, but it was real life. But watching it back, it's literally a movie, like a movie script.
And then the Easter egg of them showing those section numbers and the fact that that's basically
109 and 110.
Basically our stairs.
It's the section that's to the left of us. It's a little farther over, but that was pretty cool to see kind of where we were. Kind of.
Get the mark out. See, we'll have to try to rewatch it a bunch. It's like zoom in on any of the
look to
home games. Where do we see any of our blurry faces on jerseys?
We've tried though. We've tried to do that, and it's just there's so many people that you can't pick yourself out.
Except the one time we actually did.
Yeah, it's like
depends on the camera angle. But yeah, just overall fantastic series. Highly recommended, even for those who are interested in the other segments. If you want to rush it to get through the Mahomes segments, I completely understand. I think it's interesting then to go back and watch the other segments for the other two quarterbacks just to learn their story. Because I think
hearing their stories was really neat.
Because I think just any of those, learning anybody's story is interesting for me. Just everybody's slightly different. So learn what all is different about others and why they do something one way versus another.
Yeah.
So highly recommended series. Go watch it if you haven't already, but I assume you had, considering we told you to go away and not watch this episode if you hadn't. So you've been spoiled if you decided to just listen to us instead, but go watch it anyway. It's still a tremendous series.
Yeah.
Definitely worth your time here in the Chiefs Kingdom.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us for this very special episode of the Home of Chiefs podcast, where we did something slightly different off the norm. Maybe that gives us a little more flexibility to play around with the format of this show while we're still getting through the off season. Still
kind of trying to figure out what to do.
Just trying to get some guests on again at some point. Just keep up the momentum that we're building up here. So thank you so much for joining us on the Home of Chiefs podcast, presented by KC Sports Company. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Chiefs!